Model Making Guru is sponsored by emodels.co.uk. Make something awesome. Hey everyone, it's Foxx from modelmaking.guru here. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Warhammer Conquest Partwork series, video series Partwork Conquest. I need to work on this title as well. Yes, hello, welcome. We've got 4 more issues of Warhammer Conquest turned up. The partwork where you build up an army of Space Marines and Death Guard over 80 issues. Now this time we've got issues 71, 72, 73 and 74 and something a bit special. Let's have a look. Now, we'll look properly at the Silver Templars extra bonus stuff in a moment, but first we need to go through everything else that comes in this month's delivery. Now, before we start looking at the magazines, very important, we've had another one of these. Yes, it's another one of these letters that basically says, hey, here's some cool stuff we're going to send you next month that you're going to charge you for. If you don't want it, you need to let us know quickly. Basically, in the same way we've got the Silver Templar stuff this month, next month we're going to get the exciting Blade Oath, a Warhammer 40,000 Conquest novella. Now, I didn't know this, but the whole Silver Templars, it's a brand new chapter and they're all Primaris Marines. And I didn't know this, but it was actually launched with this partwork. They didn't exist before this partwork. They weren't mentioned or promoted anywhere else. They were announced in this partwork. And the ones we've got in that box that I'll show you in a minute, it's the first time anything's been done for them, so they are a brand new chapter that's been launched as part of this, so it's kind of exciting. And this is a book about them, which we'll get next month. However, whenever you get these packages, remember, don't just take the letters and throw them away. They're not always just invoices saying what you've received. This is saying, here's a book, it's really cool, you can read it with all the eyes on your face, we're going to send it to you and we're going to charge you £9.99 or €11.99 for the Republic of Ireland. If you don't want it, you need to let us know, because you're going to get it and we're going to charge you unless you tell us otherwise. So always double check your paperwork. Sometimes you get these, sometimes you don't. I don't know if this is premium only. I don't think it is. I think this is everybody who's a subscriber gets this. So if you don't want this book, you don't want to spend a tenner or €12, make sure to contact them using this information here and let them know you don't want it. Now, onto the magazine. Yes. So the first issue we get this month is issue 71. Yes, we're making a space crane, yes. And when I make this, I'm going to make it look like this, weathered and beaten, like old, knackered, old tech. That's what we're after. I haven't looked inside the magazine yet. I'm going to predict they make you paint it red and it looks a bit crappy, because they tend to do that. It might not, they might make it look great, but it never looks as good as that. So yeah, so as always, it's going to be fluff, how to build, how to paint, and then the gameplay stuff. First off, we're looking at some Storm Talon gunship, which I think are natty little vehicles. I've done a Storm Wolf for the Space Puppies, but I do like these. Lots of different paint styles you can do. That's not the best paint job I've ever actually seen. I've got to be honest there. I've seen better. We learn a bit about the Drukhari, or the Dark Elves, and some of their vehicles and models here. You can see they're all fabulous, darling. With, I don't really know much about the Drukhari. They look kind of fabulous. Now Chris has built one of these. He's built one of these lovelies and he's put brilliant orange sails on it. They look fantastic. So if you like space elves and pointy helmets and lots of patterns, and it's kind of fantastic. They're just fabulous, darling. Then of course we have the how to build the Sector Mechanicus crane, which I don't think will be particularly complicated. How to paint it, let's see, they're gonna make you paint it red. You know, like all the other vehicles in the other magazines were yellow on the cover. They're gonna make you paint it red. I told you they're gonna make you paint it red. Red, silver, normal, yeah. And then a dry, it's exactly the same way they've done it as with the servo haulers. Kind of all right, but a bit half-assed. It's not. I'll teach you how to paint it much better than that. And then of course we have the gameplay stuff. This is actually telling you how to create detachments in here. It's starting to give you a bit more in-depth gameplay like you would get in the codices or codexes, however you prefer it, for the individual factions and armies. So it's getting a bit more in-depth. Now I have heard tell, because I've not tried any of the gameplay stuff yet. I'm not familiar with it. Never played a game. I have heard tell that by the time you finish this part work, you're not going to have a complete 100% understanding of how to actually play proper 8th edition 40k. It's kind of its own version of 40k. Now, if I'm wrong about this, because I say I've never played a game and I don't know, but I have heard tell it's almost full 40k, but not quite. But let me know in the chat if you do play and you've been collecting this. Let me know how close this is to actual proper grown-up 40k, or if it's nothing like it, if it's own little sort of universe version of the game. I've heard tell it's a bit watered down kind of thing. We have a roster sheet, so you can start building up your own rosters. And then we have how to use this crane in gameplay. It's a scenery, it's probably an objective marker as well, and it just makes your table look a bit more interesting. A bit more gameplay stuff, and then that is issue 71. Now let's take a look at the plastic. And of course we have the plastic that you get with issue 1 is your Sector Mechanicus crane. And like with the servo haulers, tons and tons of beautiful, beautiful details of engine bits and mechanical things, workings, skulls of course everywhere. Lots of chainy bits, beautiful looking things. It's going to be fun to paint this and to weather it. It's quite spindly and thin, but there's a lot of potential there for a lot of fun. And I will of course show you how to paint these a billion times better than they do in the magazine, because that's just red, silver, Null oil, dry brush with silver, done. Half-arsed, nonsense, pants. We'll do better than that. So that is the Sector Mechanicus crane. Next up, of course, is issue 72, and 2 models with this issue that I have to say, after the Space Marine bikes, I'm kind of the least excited about. Now, I'm the least excited about the Space Marine bikes because seriously, screw that, but these two are like... yeah, they kind of just threw them in as extra plastic, I suppose. They're just, I mean, they're nice models and they'll be fun to paint, but this is just, some kid drew this on his exercise book in school in 1983. It's like mouth with the eyes and the, I don't know, they just seem a bit meh. Anyway, so yes, we've got 2 Chaos Spawn with issue 72, so of course we're going to have some fluff talking about Chaos Spawn. And it says here, with the words, it says, Nurgle is a generous god and his followers rarely want for his gifts. Many of these blessings are parasitic infestations and diseases, though tentacles, thick hides, fly heads and other mutations are also common. The Death Guard are so immune to pain that many do not realise their bodies have reached the point of no return until their transformation into a Chaos Spawn has already begun. Ew. And it says one here, Zargok's Grench. It says the Plague Marine known as Zargok Grench traded his soul for demonic power, only to be twisted into a mindless chaos spawn when his mind and body proved unworthy of Nurgle's many gifts. So usual is the really messed up, twisted stuff for Nurgle. Yeah. I'm kind of, over the course of this part work, I've grown to really like Nurgle and Death Guard, and as you know, George, my very good friend and patron George, is kind of helping to fund this. He's getting the Space Marines, I'm keeping the Death Guard, and at first I was like, oh, I want to keep the Space Marines, but you know what, now I'm actually glad I've got the Death Guard, because they're a lot more interesting than just some Space Marines. I quite like them now. I'm going to have fun painting them. Anyway, next up we have some more reveals of other factions, and this magazine, this part work does do a good job of showing you all the other things that aren't included in the part work, because there's so much. So we're looking at Gene Stealer cults, who are part of the Tyranids faction. I don't know much about Gene Stealers, but they do have some kick-ass vehicles like the Ridge Runner, or the Ridge Racer as I keep calling it, the Goliath, and some other bits and bobs and motorbikes. Yeah, they're quite cool looking dudes. Again, we're looking at some vehicles, some Imperial vehicles. We looked at the Storm Talon in the last magazine. This one we're looking at the Storm Hawk, which is variant. Nice little kit again. Boring Ultramarines. Do me a favour. If you do this part work, please don't paint them as Ultramarines. Paint them as something else. Please, please, please. Then we go on to the models themselves. We start making the builds, and it looks like there's a billion extra parts in here, so I don't know if there's just 2 ways to build them, or you've got various different options for heads and things. I've not read through, so I don't know. I'm sure there's some options. Like I said, they're not exciting me, but I think I'll have fun painting them. They will be fun to paint. Now, as is the way with these models, as you know, the painting quality has been up and down all over the place. Some of the things are actually being really well painted, and some of the things like the servo haulers and that last crane in issue 71 have been like red, silver, dry brush silver, black wash, done, there you go. But in this one it shows you how to paint the eye. Now, while it's not the most super complicated paint job, blue, light blue strips, black circle, done, it's the start of quite an advanced, and even I would struggle to paint that just because it's small and detailed. So it should be interesting. And there's also some horrendous edge highlighting on here. Oh, that is the worst I've ever. That's proper 1980s Games Workshop. Go to Warhammer World, look in some of the cabinets at some of the really old stuff. Yeah, that's we're not going to paint it like that. That's just absolute abomination. That's just an abortion. Also, butt, monster butt, and then of course some gameplay goodness. So that's going to be issue 72. Don't know what I'm doing that for. Let's look at the plastic. Issue 72, of course, is your Chaos Spawn, and it's lots and lots of little tiny squiggly tentacly details, because it's only 2 dudes. Well, it's a big sprue for 2 dudes, but it's because they've got a billion options. And I don't know, I've not looked at the instructions, I don't know if it's you can do 1,000 different things and make all the variations, or if literally all these parts go on both dudes. It'll be fun trying to find out. Like I say, I haven't been looking forward to these models because I don't think they're very interesting to look at, and they're not very inventive as a design, but I'm looking forward to painting them, so that should be quite good fun. Also, but number 73, number 73, number 7. Yeah, if you didn't grow up in 1980s Britain watching ITV of a Saturday morning, you won't know, you won't get that reference. Never mind, moving on. Yes, next issue is number 73. Now, no plastic with this one, just a couple of paints, so I shall show you those now. We have Nylak Oxide and we have Nurgle's Rot. A lovely colour this for pus and slime and gunk and goop, slightly transparent over darker colours, so it has that real slimy look. And Nylak Oxide, of course, is the kind of colour you would use to make a verdigris effect on like bronzes and coppers, that kind of thing. It's that kind of blue staining effect that you get when copper weathers. Both fantastic colours, technical paints, obviously not just regular paints. I'm sure we'd had some of this already, but I can't remember. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. I can't remember because it's been so long. I thought we'd had a pot of this already, so this might be a top up. I don't know. I can't imagine we've used a whole pot of it though on the Death Guard we've done already. Maybe we have, I don't know. So anyway, Nylak Oxide, Nurgle's Rot. Now, the magazine itself, of course there'll be no buildy in this one because we've not got any plastic to build, but we start off Imperial Knights. Now, we've looked at Imperial Knights in some of the magazines already, so I don't know why they're kind of focusing on them again, but if you want to get into Warhammer, at some point you have to build an Imperial Knight. They are brilliant. They're nice and big. They're not cheap. It's about 85-90 quid for an Imperial Knight. They're quite big. They cost a lot of points on the tabletop, but they're really cool. They're basically massive Gumpler. They are. There's a guy in there piloting it on the Drone Mechanicum, which is the name for the cockpit. There is a lord piloting his Imperial Knight. It's basically a giant Gumpler. So it's Gumpler for 40k, so you need to go and get one. They are brilliant. There's lots of different knights available. I mean, built one Imperial Knight and I had a great time, because although they're massive and they look really complicated, I've got to tell you, they are probably one of the easiest things to paint. One of the absolute easiest things to paint. So if you're looking at getting into Warhammer and you're not familiar with brush painting, get yourself an Imperial Knight, because they're not that complicated and they've got great potential for weathering and dirtifying up if you don't want a nice pristine army. So lots of blurb and fluff about Imperial Knights. Now we're looking at heraldry for your Space Marines. All Space Marine chapters abide by Reboot Gulliman's Codex Astartes, which is the sort of the big rule. When we played the game, we have a codex which tells us how to play the game. In the fiction, the Astartes, the Space Marines, have a codex, the Codex Astartes, which tells them how to run their chapter, how it should be done. And there's various guidelines. They all adhere to it to different amounts, but it's always got things like on the left pauldron they should show what chapter they're in, on the right pauldron they should show their battle position, their role in the chapter. So it's going through some quick, obviously it's got Ultramarine boring nonsense here, because Ultramarines, God, Matt Ward, thanks mate. But of course it's got some other bits here. It's got Imperial Fists, and then it's got some different battlefield role markings. Now, the one thing about Space Marines that narks me is you have all these different chapters, and it's wonderful. You can paint your chapter up however you want. You can even make up your own chapter. It's really cool. But when it comes to markings, there's hardly any water slide transfer sets available. You can buy them separately, but they hardly ever have them in stock, and there's only a small selection available. It's quite annoying. So there's all these different chapters, but a lot of the times, if you want to get really customizing your chapters, you're going to have to freehand a lot of markings, and it's a bit unfair. They should release more decal sets for more for more chapters to give people the choice of doing what they want. So it's a bit rubbish that. Stuff about incursors, which I don't know anything about them. They're close quarters type Space Marines. They go in there and get all fisty, I suspect, short range weapons. And then we're having how to paint details, because of course we've got our Nihilakh Oxide and our Nurgle's Rot. So it's doing some Rakarth flesh first on some fleshy bits and fur, then how to use your Nihilakh Oxide and your Nurgle's Rot for plasma and pus effects, and for verdigris on your bronzy bits, and then of course some gameplay stuff for your Death Guard. So there you go. That is issue 73, number 73. I can't copyright, I can't. Number 70. And last but no way least, number 70. No, it doesn't work. Number 74. This is the final one. And this one plastic thing in here, we have the Tallyman. Quite an interesting character. So yes, the usual stuff. We start looking at the thing we've got to build, the Tallyman. The Tallyman's role is to walk around the battlefield and take tallies of everything, with a specific focus on the number 7, which is very important to Mortarion, their Primarch, their Demon Primarch, and also to Bungie. If you know your Halo lore, 7's very important. 7th column, all that kind of stuff. So that's the kit we're making, is the Tallyman. Talks about him. We've got some information about Sergeant Cronus, who is apparently the best tank dude in the entire Imperium ever. And he's also got a really silly collar on his helmet. That looks a bit dumb, that. So how do you even see any? Shut up. It's nonsense. We have some information on Space Marine suppressors. Don't know what they are. I think they just fire a lot of bullets that are very fast at people and keep their heads down. Eliminators, which are like the snipers, the stealthy snipers that hang back and take out choice juicy targets. And then of course our Tallyman building guide, which is literally one tiny sprue, not very complicated, and then the basics of painting him. Now what's interesting here on the back page, for the first time, it says, Games Workshop is world famous for its range of highly detailed plastic miniatures. You are nearing the end of your Warhammer 40,000 Conquest collection, but there are a wealth of other miniatures to add to your growing Death Guard and Ultramarines armies. And it starts talking about them very briefly. So it's saying, basically, we're coming to the end now, but once you're finished, there's a whole mess of stuff you don't know about. And that's what they've been trying to do throughout these magazines with the fluff and the lore, is trying to make you aware of all the other things that you need to go and spend money on with Games Workshop. So it's very clever in that respect, and it basically is a ginormous marketing campaign. It gets you hooked in, and then you can go and buy all the stuff. So I do say, you know, if this has been fascinating for you, if you've been enjoying doing this, do go to your local Warhammer store, or if you've not got one, to your local just gaming store who stock Games Workshop stuff. It's brilliant, it's brilliant. If you do want to buy some Games Workshop stuff, of course, don't forget, one of my channel supporters is Goblin Gaming here in the EU and the UK. 20% off all Games Workshop stock. So if you want to pick up some good Games Workshop stuff and save yourself 20%, description below this video, in my description text, there's a link to Goblin Gaming. Go and check them out. Use that specific link because that tells them I sent you, and I make a little bit of income from that. So do go and check them out. Now, let's look at the plastic. And of course the plastic for the Tallyman is, as always, beautifully detailed. Fantastic lots of details and texture on the tally book there. You've got the Nurglings with the scrolls. I love Nurglings. This is why I'm falling for Nurgle and for Death Guard and stuff, because I think Nurglings are awesome. They're a bit like Squigs to me. They're kind of just awesome little silly characters. But yeah, you've got his abacus on the back. You've got all the pipes and tubes. I'm looking forward to painting him. So yes, that's the Tallyman. You get a little base with still a 32mm base. That's the Tallyman. And look at all that lovely... I'm looking forward to painting these Death Guard. I'll tell you what. George, I'm going to do you the best paint job I can do you at all on the Space Marines. Of course I will. Of course I will. But I'm actually going to enjoy painting the Death Guard 100 times as much, because all of that, all of them, it's going to be a lot more work and a lot more sort of slow progress, but I'm actually going to enjoy painting these guys much more because I can make them look filthy, dirty, filthy, filthy, dirty, filthy, filthy, dirty, filthy, dirty, scrubby, horrible, filthy, dirty. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Fox, will you just shut up and get to the interesting bit, which is the Silver Templars painting guide, as it says on this big box of happiness? Well, I shall do that now. So let me open up the pizza box of happiness and we'll see what's inside. So first of all, in the box we get the How to Paint Silver Templars guide. Now this is what I thought we were going to get in its entirety. Just this nice little guide shows you how to paint them. And again, I didn't know, I've said this before, when I did the last video, I didn't know that the Silver Templars weren't actually a thing that already existed. They're not. This guide is brand new. This faction is brand new. This chapter, I should say, not faction. So I said in the last video, I wonder why they're showing you how to paint a completely different chapter in the middle of building all the Ultramarines. It's very strange. But they're giving you a guide. Okay, I'll get that. And it turned up in that big box, and I thought, that's a big box for a guide. Yeah, you don't just get this. Now, first of all, you'll see in a second. First of all, there is a very handy painting guide. I'm not going to show you all of it because obviously that's what we're paying our money for, so I'm not going to give it you all for free. But there is this very handy painting guide, goes through all different things, how to paint them, how to get this chapter looking cool. But the most important thing is, it has a building guide. And you might be thinking, hang on, who's Lieutenant Escadon? Who are the Intercessor Squad Oscars? Why are we getting building instructions? Very simple. Not only do you get this beautiful sort of how to paint guide, which has to be said, comes with a solid base that you can stand up. I can't show you because the camera's in the wrong place, but it stands up like that and you can flip them over and have it in front of you, showing you how to paint, which is really cool. Not only does it come with this really nice guide, it also comes with oh yeah, it comes with plastic. I didn't realise this. It did say on the original letter, you know, the letter that says you're going to be charged for a load of stuff. It did say on there, it comes with all this kind of stuff. I didn't read that bit, I just thought it was the guide. It comes with, basically, not a full squad of intercessors. It comes with a half squad of 5 intercessors and 1 lieutenant. Now, these are 5 of the intercessors that you get in the bog standard Primaris Intercessor Squad set, which is 35 quid. So these are worth about £17.50 if you take it as half a squad. So it's 5 dudes. They are also the proper Games Workshop plastic. It's not Hachette plastic because it's grey and it feels different, but they're also proper everything is a separate part Space Marines. It's not the easy to build, they're the proper grown-up Space Marines. Yes. So we get 5 intercessors. We get this chap here, who is the lieutenant. Now again, he is a standard. You can go on Games Workshop and buy the lieutenant. He's a Primaris lieutenant. He's got the sword with the dangly bits. This is 20 quid. So that's £17.50-ish. 20 quid. You get all the bases. You also get this wonderful sheet of water slide decals, or transfers as they call them, specifically for the Silver Templars. Again, this is a sheet that does not exist anywhere. You can't buy this on Games Workshop at the moment. I'm sure they'll release it separately because, say, the Silver Templars are a new chapter, and they're gonna, I'm assuming they're going to launch more Silver Templar stuff, specific stuff. You can't get this anywhere else right now. So if you wanted to do Silver Templars, you'd have to use third-party decals, which will probably come out, or hand paint, freehand your own. You've got some markings and things like that. So you get that, but that's not all. One other thing you get all these as well. You get Moot Green, Sterling Mud for your base, Caliban Green. You get, what's that one? Technical Storm Shield. It's a gloss varnish, I think, if I remember. I can't quite remember. I think it's a gloss varnish type thing. Screamer Pink, Fire Dragon Bright, Screaming Skull, Avalanche Sunset, Baylor Brown, Mornfang Brown, Balthazar Gold, Administratum Grey, and Pink Horror. You get all these paints as well to paint them. I was not expecting any of this. I thought it was just the flippy how to paint book. And I opened this box, it's like, I've got a whole shed load of paints and plastic. Now, I've done some very simple maths, which I can't remember, so I'll put it on the side here. But I did some really rough figures, and like I say, here's the cost for half a squad of Space Marines, into a Primaris Intercessors. We have the cost of the Lieutenant. We have the cost of the decal sheet. Now this is a fudged figure because there are various decal sheets available and they're usually between 12 and 14 quid, so I've estimated 12 quid. Like I said though, this doesn't exist on the Games Workshop web store at all yet. It's not, you can't buy it. So that's a guess figure, that one. And then the cost of all the prices as they are today on the Games Workshop UK web store. So you'll see how much that all is worth, technically, theoretically, and it cost, this extra pack cost $34.99. They charged me $34.99 for all of this. How much of a deal is that? Now, if you're interested in this, you're a bit SOL, I'm afraid, because it was offered to subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, I'll put this under there. If you're not a subscriber, it was offered only to subscribers. I think it's all subscribers. Somebody did say it was perhaps just premium subscribers, but I don't know. I'm not sure. It may be all subscribers. If you are subscribed to the Partwork, you will get this, I think. If you're not a subscriber and you're just picking up issues from the local newsagent, you're not going to get it. You have to be a subscriber, as far as I know. So, yeah, this absolutely fantastic value, $34.99 for all that. Now, what I'm going to do, because they are new and because it's Silver Templars, and there's not many videos about Silver Templars yet because nobody's done them, I'm not going to keep these as part of the regular build and paint. I'm going to move that out of the way because it's a bit bright. I'm not going to film these as part of the regular build and paint thing. What I think I might do is do a standalone video just for these guys. I wasn't planning on doing it. I've got so many other things I need to do, but it's in my interest to do a how to paint Silver Templars video. So, and I'm going to be learning as much as you guys while I'm doing it. So stay tuned for that. And that'll be available for everyone, not Patreon exclusive. So there you go. That's incredible. For 34 quid. That's insane. For 90 odd quid's worth of stuff. Yeah, this is why this Partwork is good. Now, I have to say, like we said before, the premium subscription stuff you get with the Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms Partwork is actually, I think, vastly superior to the premium stuff you get with the 40k Conquest stuff. What we get as premium subscribers is some game boards and some dice and some data cards. Let's be honest, that's it for premium subscription. If this is premium subscription only, then it's another bonus, but we pay extra for it. Whereas in the Mortal Realms, you get every premium subscription, every gift is extra plastic, extra minis and things like that from different factions. So I still think the Mortal Realms has maybe the better premium subscription offers, but this, you can't beat this, 34 quid. So if you aren't subscribed, this is one of the extra reasons that it's worth subscribing. You do pay for it, but it's well worth it. Anyway, that's going to do us. So all this stuff, look forward to seeing this video soon. I will, of course, if you remember, I am slowly building up all the minis for the Warhammer Conquest series on my Warhammer Sunday live streams. I'll be painting them all later in the year. I'm getting everything built first before I then go ahead and start doing painting videos later in the year. So they will come later in this year, basically. There's going to be a lot to paint. But they will be coming later in the year. But this, keep an eye out for this in the next few weeks. As always, don't forget to go and check out all the usual bits and bobs. The links in the description below for all my affiliate links, ways to support this channel and keep it going. And I shall say until next time, take care of yourselves. Go make something awesome like this. Go be awesome. Adios, amoebas.